What is going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? If you recall, in my last Nintendo-based video, I pretty much outright refused to share any of my Nintendo Switch opinions, and I wanted to save them for a video all their own, which is exactly why we're here today, because I am going to share my opinions and thoughts on the upcoming Nintendo Switch and more or less react to it, and react to my own opinion, more or less. So right off the bat, I really think that my opinion probably isn't any different from everybody out there on YouTube already that have done this type of video. I really feel like I'm one of those that are kind of riding the fence. We're excited because of what the Switch is and what it claims to be and all that, but we're also very, very nervous for those same reasons. And it all kind of probably stems from our experiences with Nintendo in the past. Specifically, as much as I hate to bring it up, the Wii U. I know across the board that kind of left a bad taste in our mouths. But you know what? Before I get any further into that, let me just clarify that as much as I know in the last video I I had said that the Wii U was a disappointment. Please know that I was only kind of repeating the general census of the gaming community. I myself personally love my Wii U, and I think probably the primary reason for that was because I waited until the Wii U's life cycle ended and all the good games came out that I wanted for it, and I've been really able to enjoy it at the full potential and in the full spectrum that I myself have wanted to, and I really don't share the same opinion as pretty much the entire world, even though with that being said, I am able to recognize and more or less agree with the Wii U's shortcomings. So I guess the place that I kind of want to start out with here is let's look at what the Wii U more or less claims to do. Or, I'm sorry, the Switch. What the Switch claims to do. So the Switch basically plans on being the first at-home console that is also portable. It claims to be the basically first console to have two functions. So when you're playing it at home, you have it in your dock, you're playing it on your TV, and basically when it's time to go wherever you need to go and you spend a certain amount of time in the car, whether it be a road trip or whatever reason you're in the car, you can play it on the go in your car. Basically like an oversized tablet. Okay, so that's essentially the premise of the Nintendo Switch. Now, originally, I'm excited for this aspect, especially because it's Nintendo. If there's anybody that can pull this off, because it more or less it's a pretty tall order. Let's call it for what it is. It's a big step. But if anybody can pull it off, it really is Nintendo, because they have the portable gaming market locked up with the Game Boys and the DSs and what have you. And nobody else can really hold a candle to them. So I feel like when it comes to developing something like this, they can really do it. Will they do it successfully? I don't know. But first, let's mull over this whole premise. I had done a little bit of thinking prior to this video, and I came to the realization that the whole prospect of at home plus portable isn't necessarily new technology, while the whole prospect of having the at-home console be both the stationary thing and the portable thing in itself, while that's new, the whole idea more or less has been going on for a very, very long time. Specifically, actually, Nintendo is the one that I noticed kind of started. I can remember, as I'm sure a lot of us can, playing things like Pokemon on the Game Boy, and then coming home and having that little Game Boy player that went into your Nintendo 64 and playing your Pokemon cartridge on Pokemon Stadium. And that was a while ago. I mean, that was when I was growing up. So there's that. Later on, and a little more recently to present day, the little thing called the PS Vita came out. For those of you that even acknowledge that thing. Excuse me. And basically what that did was take that a step further. Basically, it was, you could be at home playing your PS4, and if you had a Vita hooked up to your PS4, when you needed to go on the go, let's say you were playing baseball, like the commercial advertised. Play baseball at home, need to go to work or whatever, you can play baseball on the subway on your way to work via the Vita. So there's another example of that same type of technology evolving over time. And the only difference that I can see between something like the Vita and the Switch is that instead of having two separate consoles that work in tandem to make console gaming portable, the Switch itself is the thing that's both. Which is cool, but scary at the same time. Now, the main reason why something like this is scary, and the reason why I have my doubts, is because we don't want, and I'm excluding myself from this next statement, but we, as a gaming community, don't want another Wii U mishap. We don't want another thing with a weird controller that didn't really work well. We don't want another third-party absent gaming catalog and a very sparse a very sparse catalog of gaming. And specifically, they're 1 for 2 on those. And it's something that scares me probably the most, is that I am a very impatient gamer. I, mark the days on my calendar when good games are coming out, and I don't like waiting any more than I have to. And the thing about the Wii U is that you got basically a good game every 6 months, if that. And I see the same thing happening with the Nintendo Switch. They have, launch titles that really don't freaking matter at all, -1. Launch title, of course, being Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which, okay, it's Legend of Zelda. That's cool. That's awesome. I'm excited for that. I'll give Nintendo its comeuppance. But when it comes to other launch titles, there's nothing really that we haven't seen before. I mean, other major titles include Skyrim, which the only reason why that's relevant is because of its recent re-release on the current gen PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And from what I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not even like the Game of the Year edition. So it's just a bare bones version of Skyrim, which is an old game now. So yes, I understand Nintendo is excited about the whole third party thing, and hey, we're gonna have a console where it's not just our own crap on it. But who cares? And another launch title that I've read about is, of course, The Binding of Isaac, which is pretty much the only launch title on the list, other than Legend of Zelda, that I would be excited in. But I'm not going to spend, $30 on it, primarily because I can get the same game right now on Steam for half that price if I really want to play it. Yes, it would be cool to play Skyrim and Legend of Zelda and Binding of Isaac on the go. But minus, like I said, minus Zelda, there's just not a whole lot day one going for it for me. And the only other thing that I'm really, because I'm not a Splatoon guy or anything like that, so the only other thing that I'm really looking forward to as of right now is Mario Odyssey, which is supposed to be like a year and a half away or something like that, or at the end of the year. Something. All I can say is it's really not happening right now, which makes me really, really sad because I feel like it's a missed opportunity there. I think you could have Mario Odyssey be a launch title along with Legend of Zelda, and I think that would just push people to really buy a Switch. And that's really kind of a major concern of mine because I can pretty much already guarantee that I'm not going to run out and buy a Switch day one because I'm not going to spend $60 on one game and then have it sit there for a year or more till the next one that comes out is available. Another thing that kind of concerns me, and I know I've heard this from a multitude of other YouTubers who've made the same type of video, is the price point. While the initial price point for the Switch and the kit with the controllers and all that is a very reasonable price at $300, you're doing something wrong if another whole console bundle would be cheaper in the long run than buying the controllers themselves, because the controller and everything, if you want an extra controller, extra docking platform thing to put them on, what have you, runs about $80 a piece, which is a real turnoff because I honestly have issues spending $60 a piece for PS4 and Xbox One controllers. I do, but I'm not happy about it, so I'm sure not gonna spend $80 a piece for Wii U controllers. So there's that. Another thing that more or less concerns me is the fact that the Switch kind of came out of left field. We knew it a while ago. We knew about it quite a while ago as the NX, and then of course it got delayed, and then here comes the Nintendo Switch. I believe the announcement was in October. Here we are in early February. And for those of you that don't know, the console releases next month on the 3rd. So that is just a handful of months between announcement and release. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like they're just kind of really excited to give us something other than the Wii U. And sure, they should be excited. Like I said, I'm excited, as are a lot of other people, and let them be excited about it. It's new, it's hip, it could rock our socks off, for lack of a better term. But at the same time, you have to be careful that your excitement isn't misplaced. Because it could very well be a console that needs a bit more work. I mean, we're not going to know until March 3rd. But, like I said, it could either be bad or very, very good for Nintendo. On one end, where I'm like, okay, I'm nervous because of the amount of time it took for it to come out. I also, in a sense, appreciate that because like I said, I don't like waiting. And maybe they're appeasing people like me who don't like waiting, because I originally expected it to come out maybe later this year or early next year, and here we are with like a 3-month waiting period. And, that could, like I said, take it or leave it. I'm sitting on the fence about it. Another thing that kind of concerns me about the Wii U is the fact that I received an email actually from GameStop the other day. And I had read an article a little bit prior to this that said that the Wii U has done exponentially well with pre-orders. Basically, everywhere in Europe, everywhere else but here, pre-orders they've reached their limit and they're not taking anymore. So basically, Wii U's are going to become difficult to get your hands on if you haven't secured yours already. You're probably not going to on release day, which is good, which initially excites me, because the fact that Nintendo is getting that type of attention over something that people more or less know very little about or have known, been getting their information over short periods of time here. That excites me because it's not going to be Wii U in that sense where people aren't holding them, most people aren't holding them accountable saying, the Wii U sucks so I'm not touching the Switch. Why that's a problem is that I received, and maybe I'm looking into this a little too deeply, but I received an email saying that this past Saturday, GameStop's as a branch, we're going to be giving 1,000 free pre-orders to random people that visited the store on that day. 1,000 pre-orders for free. Now this is not specifically just in my town. Again, this is probably corporation wide from wherever they have GameStops around the country and in other countries. But still, 1,000 pre-orders to basically give away for free seems like a lot. And I don't know if it's just a promotional thing to get people into GameStop. I don't know if it's a promotional / marketing thing for Nintendo. But my initial reaction, and I told my girlfriend about this, because I was trying to think of something that I needed so I could go in there on Saturday, which I didn't, by the way. But I was like, I don't know if this is a good thing. I mean, it could be, like I said, it could be a promotional thing for Nintendo to be like, here, we're so sure you guys are going to love the Switch, have some free pre-orders. And it could be a good thing for GameStop because, you know, you're getting traffic in there. You could have had a whole bunch of people in there on that particular day hoping that they get chosen. But it could be bad in the sense that maybe the US or whatever isn't getting the same amount of pre-orders that other places are. I don't know. It just seemed kind of odd that they were giving away 1,000 free pre-orders. I don't know. I didn't go in there to even try because I never win anything from GameStop. So I kind of overlooked it. But I mean, if you're watching this and you're one of those lucky people that got a free pre-order, number one, you're lucky because I would love to have a free Switch. And then I wouldn't have any room to complain, right? But yeah, if you can probably tell, this video is kind of more, it's very unbalanced between the bad and the good. And it's not, and I just want to clarify, it's not coming across like that because I'm hating on the Switch and I, you know, think it's gonna suck or whatever. There's just a lot of concerns that I have. And I really want it to be good because as time goes by and I'm experiencing a lot more of Nintendo consoles and a lot more of Nintendo history with collecting things like the NES and stuff, I'm appreciating Nintendo a lot more than I ever did. And I really want them to have something they can be proud of. And they can kind of move on from the Switch and not have that, or from the Wii U and not have that hanging over their head. But I'm a concerned fan because of the Wii U. I'm a concerned fan because of how Nintendo has carried themselves as of late and their marketing strategies and everything. They've missed the mark, and it makes me nervous. But make no mistake, I'm nervous with love. All the love in the world for Nintendo, all the love in the world for what the Switch claims to be and what I hope it is. But at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is we're not going to know how it really is until March the 3rd rolls around and people line up before the doors open to get their hands on one. I think regardless whether the reviews are good or bad, I am going to wait until it gets a catalog, till I know that there's things that I want to spend the money on, and I want to be able to justify me getting a Switch for more than just one game. So I'm going to wait until the catalog gets a little better. I'm going to wait until, they work out the kinks and see what people's reaction is to it, and base off that, I think regardless, good or bad, I am planning on getting one. I just don't think I'm going to be one of the Nintendo fans that pre-orders it and gets it day one. I think I'm going to wait, play it cool, and when the time is right, I'll end up with one, and I'll probably make a video of it. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. My overall anticipatory review or reaction of the Switch, everything I hope it is. So yeah, until next time, guys, as always, I salute you, and remember, we're all mad here.